Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Vanessa Dunn, Guyton, and I am truly proud and honored to be the founder and the executive director of Hush No More. Hush No More supports survivors when they're ready to come forward to share their story, when they're ready to find resources, or if they just need somebody to listen to. We also provide free training in our communities to different churches, youth groups, different organizations, because we believe that awareness plus knowledge equals prevention. So I'm truly honored today to talk to Miss Tammie Mobley. Why did I just mess up Tammie's name? Let me bring her on. She is absolutely amazing. Well, Tammie, welcome. I am so excited that you're here because a lot of times we don't realize how important it is to turn our trauma into success. So I want to talk about that today. So can you tell everybody a little bit about you?
All right, I'm going to tell you a lot about me. So, my name is Tammie. I am a domestic violence survivor and advocate. I'm also United States of Women Ambassador for Virginia. I am the founder of Real Girls Responsible, Empowered, and Loved. And I am the owner of Flaws and Perfections with providing empowerment and relationship coaching. And I have a lot other little contracts that I do, but that's the gist of it.
That's the only thing you do, right?
Yeah.
So you're actually, I think, probably just as busy, if not more than I am, right? Because I'm so excited about Sexual Assault Awareness Month, and you're like, I'm real busy too.
Yeah.
It was important for us to connect in March because our schedules are so full because of all the things that we do to try to give back to our community. So I am truly honored that you put time in, schedule time in your calendar for us to be able to have this conversation, to be able to inspire and empower other individuals who have been through something similar as you. So thank you.
And it had to because February is Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month. So I was doing healthy relationship classes like probably for the whole month of February. So it was just crazy.
Crazy. Yeah. It's a lot. And a lot of times people say, well, you just do advocacy work. No, we do a lot of work. There are a lot of people that need help, that are struggling. And so we're busy. We're very busy.
All the time. Yes, all the time.
All right. So tell me a little bit about your trauma. How did you start going onto this advocacy journey?
So I'm a domestic violence survivor. I'm in my second marriage right now, but within my first marriage, it was a very unhealthy relationship. It was mentally, emotionally, and physically abusive. But I really didn't know that it was unhealthy in the beginning because I was young and I was like in love. So I just figured that that's the way some relationships are supposed to be until it escalated into physical violence. And then after it ended in that way, at first I was like, no, because I remember being in the church and the first lady of the church, I was crying. I had stitches over my eye. Like the other day, I just actually saw the line that was still there. I had a broken finger. My body was filled with black and blue marks. And I was in church and I was crying. And she said, dry your eyes because your story is going to be your testimony. And I just said, no, like I'm never going to tell anybody this because it was just too traumatic for me to even share this story. But lo and behold, here I am sharing my story, helping other people to get through whatever I went through.
Mm-hmm. So were all your bruises visible? Like when you went to church, could people see that?
It was February, so I had a hat on. I had so many knots in my head that I could not even comb my hair. So I really had like kind of like a cap on my head. So I couldn't even like at the time I was putting relaxers in my hair. I couldn't put a relaxer. I couldn't do anything with my hair. So I was here wearing that. I still had the stitches over my eyes. So you could kind of see that. And like I said, my hand was in a cast because this finger was broken. And so it was winter time. So you couldn't see all the bruises. But at the time, my son was 2 years old and my brother and my mom really took care of him because I could not even move around enough to like even change his pamper. I remember in the hospital, the technician thought I was in a car accident. That's how badly bruised and beaten that I was.
How did you get the courage to leave? Or did you use some resources? Or how did you get out of that? Because that's not easy to just walk away.
And I didn't just walk away. My abuser actually died by suicide. And that's how I was able to leave. Because I don't know if I would have been able to leave, or you probably wouldn't be talking to me right now. honestly. So I did not I don't have that story to say, okay, yeah, I just found the strength to leave and, I packed up and left. So that's not my story. I was able to leave because he died by suicide.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that was part of him having control over you as well to kill himself? Or do you think it was part of mental health? Or how did you look at his suicide as it related to you?
I looked at it is that I felt like he was just afraid to suffer the consequences that was coming with it, because there was other things that happened ahead of time. So he was getting ready to probably be incarcerated. So I think that was a way to say, okay, I'd rather end my life than to be incarcerated. So I think that was it. And then my probably was some mental health stuff going on, but at the time I didn't think about it. We were young, and even if we're arguing and stuff, we both had backgrounds that wasn't healthy. I came from a household that was physically, mentally, emotionally abusive. So arguing and was just okay for me, right? You want to argue, I'm from New York, we're going to argue. Like, we're going to argue back and forth. So that's how it was. So I don't know if it was a part of a control thing, but I made it be more mental health and just not wanting to suffer the consequences of what was about to happen.
Mm-hmm. So a lot of times we look at our childhood in the home that we grew up in. So last week we were talking to Kiva and she was telling us about growing up in a domestic violence home. Mm-hmm. So for you, how do you think, if at all, did it impact the house that you came from into the domestic violence situation that you found yourself in?
Oh, it definitely impacted it. It impacted it because of the unhealthy household I grew up in. But again, also, I don't want to put New Yorkers on a bad name, but we just automatically, like, we ready, for stuff. We're ready for stuff. We're ready to argue to anything that comes up. So I think that was a combination of being in an unhealthy relationship. And then when I met someone, if he said something, I was like the girl with the head rolling and my hands going, like, doing all
your hair.
Right. Yeah. Like, okay, who you talking to? Kind of like that stuff. So it was always a back and forth kind of thing until it became more controlling. I'm little, like you probably can't tell, but I'm only 5 feet. And at the time, I probably was like 130 pounds. And my ex-husband, he was 5'11", over 200 pounds. So until the point that it got to that it was controlling and it came abusive and it came more physically abusive, that's when I kind of got a little bit scared. Because even up until the time, even if when he was saying things like, I'm just going to get a gun and just kill us, I was like, what are you talking about? like it's still, even though we were going through stuff, I never even thought about that it would get to the point that it got to.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like he had the capabilities of killing you too?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think it's just the grace of God that I'm still alive here today. Like my mom would tell you that also, that I'm just here today. Like an angel was literally watching over me and I'm still here today. And that's my testimony, because I feel like God kept me here for a reason. He kept me here to share my testimony. He kept me here to talk to other women, and not just women, teenagers, because really teenagers are my passion. Let them know what the red flags look like in an unhealthy relationship and how to leave an unhealthy relationship safely, because I became a peer counselor for domestic violence survivors as well. So I provide advocacy. I talk to women. I talk to teens, and that's just my life mission right now.
Mm-hmm. Based on your own experience.
Mm-hmm.
I often talk to women about the rate of deaths here in South Carolina. I live in South Carolina. Mm-hmm. And we move between 5th and 6th in the nation of deaths by the abuser, the women. Mm-hmm. They're killed. And so it's really a difficult place to be in. But I want people to understand that you can die in a domestic relationship. And a lot of times it's I'm going to kill you and myself, or kill you, our children, and myself, because nobody else is going to have you. Nobody else is going to raise my children. And that's a way of control, right? It's a lot of control. And so the fact that he killed himself and didn't kill you and didn't kill your son, like I'm just so thankful for the grace of God. I can see it. That's definitely what it is.
Yeah, I'm really, really thankful for that. And I want to tell people also, when somebody says that, believe them. Like a lot of times we don't. And I would hear, even when he would say things like, I would get a gun, people would say, oh, he just wants attention. He's not going to do it. And I thought the same thing too. It was like, he's probably not going to do it, but believe them. You know, they have a firearm, believe them. I have women that instant message me or DM me, and they tell me their situation. And the first thing I ask is, does he have a firearm? And they say yes. And it's telling that other people are telling them, they just want attention, and you can't be scared. You can't live your life that way. And I'm like, your chances of being a homicidal victim is higher because that person has a firearm. So be careful. Make a safety plan, because other people that are saying it, they have not been in that situation. And they don't realize, when a survivor, how scared that they actually are. When people saying, don't let that person ruin, have your life and on eggshells. It's control. Like, you are scared like no other kind of scared that people don't even understand sometimes.
It's not this, I just walk away. And especially when you know they have a weapon.
Right.
What I realize is that people don't know that advocates can help them with a safety plan. We are pretty cool at it too. Like, I will come up with some ideas. We're going to look at your situation, and we're going to come up with a strategy of how, one, to keep you and your children safe, right? And how you can get out of there. And I'll say, don't tell them you're going to leave. Don't tell your wife, your husband, don't tell them you're going to leave.
Because that's the most dangerous time.
That is what we do.
That's the most dangerous time, is when that person is leaving. And I feel like when people are in an unhealthy relationship, their girlfriends or whoever say, I wouldn't deal with that. Go ahead and leave. And as a peer counselor, I would tell people, you know what? If you were a fly in the wall in that person's house, you don't know what they're going through. It's easier for somebody else to tell them you should go ahead and leave. It's not that easy, because if that was easy, as soon as that first red flag hit, you would be already out the door. It takes an average of 7 times for a person to leave an unhealthy relationship. So it's not that easy to leave. And that's why you have to come up with a safety plan.
And I'm tired of people telling others that. Stop saying that.
Right.
It annoys me. The only thing you should be saying is, how can I help you? What do you need from me? That is,
can I help you? Yes.
That is it. And if you pray for them, don't condemn them in your prayer.
Yeah.
Like, God help them to get the courage to be able to escape, because they don't know what they're doing. Like, don't pray over people from a negative perspective as well. Encourage them, but let them know that you're there for them no matter how many times they leave and go back. All you can do is be there for them.
Right. And you're right. It's like we said, the statistic is an average of 7 times. And I think, sometimes people get tired, like, oh, she's going to go back anyway, so I'm not even going to speak to them. No, you still need to be there, because that's further isolating them from everyone else. And that's how the abusers having more control. So they leave 5 times, then you still be there for that 6th time and say, I'm here for you, right? Just be there. And like you said, just say, how can I help you?
That's it. And sometimes people don't leave because they don't want to be judged. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And if they told you, they trusted you. And then you betray their trust by saying something what I call just stupid. That's what I say. I was like, did you say that? Did you really tell them that? And that's how I categorize it, because it's not being compassionate. It's not showing love and kindness.
Right. You're right.
To somebody. So I am proud of you, even though you left because of suicide. You still had to get your life back on track some type of way.
Oh, yeah.
But what did that look like for you? After all of this, what does that look like trying to get...
It was hard, because I was working in corporate America. And, there were people that I still had to go back to that job, that knew me prior to that, knew my husband, seen us as the happy, healthy, loving couple, with him driving a BMW and I'm driving a Lexus, and I'm working in corporate America and everything. And we had this beautiful family. So there was a lot of stuff for me I had to go back to and rebuild all over again. A lot of shame, a lot of embarrassment, and even going to a counselor. And that's another thing that I want to talk about. So I was going to counseling afterwards, and I remember going to a counselor, and it was a male counselor, and he was saying stuff like, why are you afraid? And this is before my husband actually, he's died by suicide. And I was saying, because, he's stalking me and all this stuff. And I said, he's trying to kill me. He said, well, if he wanted to kill you, he would have killed you. So, just hearing things like that, that's why advocacy is so important. When I tell people, when they say to go to counseling, I say, go to a domestic violence advocate, because the counselor that you hear from the outside is so different from one that is trained in domestic and sexual violence. Like, you need to go to an advocate. And just like just rebuilding myself, like I wanted to move. I didn't want to stay where I was. I suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder. There were the incidents that happened in my brother's house, so I had to leave there. I didn't want to live there anymore. And even now, like I'm living in Virginia now, but the incident happened in Maryland. There's certain spots that I drive through in Maryland and I still remember. Like, I think back to what happened. I think back to what we used to do at that time. So it's still healing. I'm still healing. And even though I'm able to articulate it, talk about it, I'm still healing and talk to other people. I'm still healing.
Yeah. So even though you were in counseling at the time, it really wasn't effective. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think people don't realize that you have to go to the right counselor, and every counselor is not for you. And if you disagree, go find another one. Mm-hmm. And going to the advocate can allow you to find the right counselor for you as well, right? Because we have connections. Like, all of our counselors specialize in domestic violence, sex trafficking, incest. Like, that's what they do. Mm-hmm. And all do not. And I almost want to take the license away from your counselor if he's still like, when I hear about a bad counselor or a bad doctor, I just want to take their license, right? Yeah. It discourages you. Mm-hmm. It discourages you. So besides counseling and just trying to get back on track, did you go any type of program? How was it your prayers? What made you bounce back? How you bounced back so good?
Time. I can't say that it was just one thing. It was just time. It was having patience with myself, learning to love myself again. And actually just getting over the fear. There was a time that I wouldn't even drive when the sun went down, like, because I was assaulted one time when it was dark outside. So I would be fearful to drive at night, like literally my heart pumping, driving at night. And it's probably a lot of people don't even know that, because when they see me, they always see like live Tammie and everything. But there's still a lot of stuff that I went through in post-traumatic stress that even now, like I'm married now, and I'm making sure, like, every night and I have a husband. But every night I'm like, did you turn the alarm on? I still do that. I don't watch any movies with any trauma, fighting, killing, stuff like that, any excessive stuff like that. So it's still a process that I'm still learning to rebuild, and every day it's just something else that I say, okay, I get a little bit stronger, so it's not everything on the surface, like, okay, it's just a magic wand and you already cool and everything's happening. No, it takes time.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad that you said that, because we're hard on ourselves. Mm-hmm. Like, we should be over this already. Are we still having nightmares? Why are we hypervigilant? Why am I still crying after all of these years? Mm-hmm. It takes time, and you have to be gentle with yourself during this process. Mm-hmm. And you have to look around and say, that journey is for her. This journey is for me. And there's no competition. Healing, there's no competition in healing and growing. Yeah. And I tell people, it took me years. When I say years, it took me years, and I am still on a journey as well. Every day I find out something else about myself that I probably need to work on. I'll get a trigger every now and then. I'm like, man, I thought you was good. What you crying for?
You don't know. Sometimes it could be fine, and then something else just triggering you, like, okay. And I think people don't understand, because sometimes I'm like quiet, like I shut everybody out. I'm just in my own little shell. I'm in my house or whatever. And then, because people always see you doing stuff, they don't even take the time to say, well, let me call and check on Tammie and see how I haven't heard from her in a while. I'm usually the one that gets sending out texts and say, I haven't heard from you. Why? Hey, how you doing? How you doing? But nobody even thinks about you still going through stuff, because I'm always, I have the radio show, I have my girls program, I have so many other things that's going on that people don't take the time to say, hey, let me just check on you and see how you're doing. especially during February and December. Those are like high times for me. Teen Dating Violence Awareness Month and domestic violence, February and October, those are high times for me. And I still have to just like take a woosah moment at the end of those months. Yeah.
So if you're listening to the show, check on Tammie. I want to check on Tammie. Check on your strong friends.
Yes.
And I feel you, because I feel that way sometimes too, but I do have a circle that'll say, hey, I got a girlfriend. My girlfriend Tasha, she get on me all the time. She'll say, I think you working too much. I was like, there's no such thing in advocacy. Need my help. She's like, I think you working too much. Are you okay? So we do have to have that circle around us that's going to check us and say things about, yeah, you're good, but I want to make sure that you're good, because we wear this mask sometimes, and people think that because we're out here as superwomen, that we're doing it and not having a struggle.
Yeah,
it's hard work.
It is. In the end of February, my husband, like, I was doing something one day, and he said, "What's wrong?" I said, I just need a break. Like, February, every day I'm training on teen dating violence awareness. Every day I'm doing healthy relationships, because people. Now, I'm a domestic violence 365 days a year. That's what I tell people. But they wait until February and October. Like, let me hit Tammie right then. So every day I'm doing something. And then also in February, made a year since my father passed. So it was just like a really heavy month for me. And I just told my husband, I was like, this is just like, I'm struggling right now. And in addition to that, with my first marriage, I got married in February. And then he died by suicide in February. So there's a lot of stuff that happens in February. And my husband said, don't worry about it. Within 2 days, he booked us a trip to Florida. He said, we out of here. He said, because I'm going to let you have like some Tammie time. We just want to have some fun time. And I came back and I was like, okay, that's what I needed. We went away for 4 days and I came back. I was like, okay, I'm ready again. I'm good. Yeah, but I just needed that time.
You know what I've started doing, Tammie, is planning it afterwards. So I am going to Vegas by myself and because April by myself. I don't want nobody with me. I just need time to meditate, relax, to do what I want to do. If I want to just sit in the room and do nothing but order room service, that's what I'm going to do after April. And so now I am planning escapes after those difficult months for us, because we pour into everyone else and we have to pour back into ourselves.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
And so for those of you that want to get into advocacy work, you have to heal. Because if not, we bleed on people. When we're exhausted, we're not helpful.
No.
So you have to get to a state of healing before you want to get to the state of actually being able to start an organization or to actually come forward and pour into people's lives. You got to work on yourself.
Right.
And that's what you're showing us, that it's taken time and you didn't just jump into success after something happened to you.
No. And a lot of people see that, because I get a lot of messages and say, well, how did you get into the schools? And how did you do this? And it took time. Like this, I didn't just overnight like get a contract with the school. I didn't get overnight have a contract with the Department of Social Services being survivor voice. Everything took time. And I think we're in a world where everything is like quick. But no, patience. You have to have patience. You know, success does not happen overnight.
It does not. It does not. I've been working for years, like years, and working with PTSD and depression. So that slows you down too. You mentioned the PTSD. Yeah. That makes your journey even harder when you're dealing with something from a mental health perspective.
Yes, because you're taking in trauma. You're taking in everybody else's trauma. So you're listening to that all the time, but you're also dealing with whatever you dealt with. And even though you have pushed in the back of your head, somebody might have said something and it may be a trigger. I have my show Beyond Survival with Tammie, so I'm listening to trauma there as well. And sometimes we do an after show, because people have reached out to me and say, I want to share my story, but then when they get on the camera, like they don't share everything, or they get like, I can't believe that all these people are looking at me. So sometimes we do an after show, and I had one guest and she was just saying all this stuff, and my husband said, her story sounds like your story. So even things like that, I was thinking in my head when she was telling me, I said, wow, her story sounds so much like my story. So even those listening to things like that, that could be a trigger, and reliving trauma all over again.
Mine was Vanessa Gilliam, the soldier that was killed at Fort Hood. I don't know because her name was Vanessa.
Oh,
In
yeah.
the army or what?
Good.
But
Yeah.
that story triggered me. I felt like it was my story, like she could have been me.
Yeah.
And I had to shake that off. Like
Mm-hmm.
really reevaluate some things, breathe in and say, okay, Vanessa, she's not you. I even wrote about it to get it out of me.
Yeah.
I wrote about her and
Wow.
the importance of her story and actually advocating for her because that was a trigger for me. And it comes out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
So even doing your work, trying to get to the next level, things will set you back momentarily.
Yeah.
You got to control them.
Yeah. Keep on again. Keep on again. Yeah.
So what do you do when you have one of those moments?
I usually talk to my husband.
Okay.
I talk to my husband. Oh, and like I guess he kind of knows me now. He knows when it's just like, okay, I'm gonna just leave Tammie alone. He'll say, "Are you doing okay?" And I just kind of just stay to myself. I listen to music. I love listening to music. Or this Sunday, like once a month, I feel like everything just comes down on me. And literally, like I'll take a Saturday and I'll take a 3-hour nap. Like when I wake up, my son and my husband's like, "Oh, okay, it's like November now because you slept forever." Like he hibernated. Like literally, I'm like, "Okay, I'm tired. I feel my body." And when I go to sleep, it's like 3 hours out of the day that I really, and it's like a really, really long nap, and I feel a little bit more refreshed. Then I just know when my body is like, oh, it's heavy.
I started taking off Mondays. I don't work. I don't schedule anything on my calendar for Mondays.
That's
Now,
good.
a survivor, that's just going to happen. I can't control that. But for me to just meet you, my calendar is blocked. You have to call me, and I do nothing on Mondays. Like I don't have to get out of the bed if I don't want to. Like yesterday, I did nothing. I had allergies was acting up, so that was right. My allergies they started playing a battle with my own body, and so I had a rough day yesterday. But I normally don't do anything on Mondays. I am okay with telling people I am off because, like this past weekend, I work Saturday and Sunday. You know, so we work on the weekends. Events are normally held on the weekends, so we have to put on our schedule. If not a half a day, a whole entire day. That's really for ourselves.
Okay, yeah. So even when I'm doing consult, when people reach out to me, Monday and Tuesdays are my days because that's my, these days that I say, okay, you in a consult. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, like I'm not even doing. I have other stuff, my contract stuff, but me calling people and listening to people, I try to do that on a Monday or Tuesday, and Fridays is usually my girlfriend day, or what I want to do with my friends or whatever. Yeah. Or I work just half of the day on Friday because I have other contracts or clients that I need to take care of.
And it's always something. It's always something. And then you have that on top of your family obligations as well. And people are pulling on you. So part of being successful is identifying that you need to take care of yourself and that you need to carve out time just for you. Because you will hit like, bam.
You get burned out.
Yeah, you will crash and then you're down for days. I've crashed. I used to fly to the West Coast and train, catch a red eye back to the East Coast and train. Oh, I was doing it because I was like, oh, they need me. I was so honored that they wanted me to speak and I wasn't going to turn it down. So I'm going flying cross country, time zones and everything. Then it'll just say, bam, my body will tell me, you ain't moving today. This is it. So I realized
you got to learn to say no.
Because a no to them is a yes to myself. So now I'll say I have an event this day. So tomorrow's my travel day. I could do it this day. Yeah. So that's what I do now. I do not plan events like that back to back, especially if I have to go different time zones. That's a no. Yeah. So I try my best to be able to manage that. It's part of being successful.
Well, so also what I do is that no one can't just come to me in a week and tell me or ask me to do something. I had someone ask me that around Christmas time and say, hey, I know that it's around Christmas time, but I did just popped in my head and we're doing a magazine and I would love for you to, submit an article, a 500-word article. And they let me know on Tuesday and they said, can you have it to me by Thursday? And the second one was, can you do an interview? And I had to say no to both of them. I was like, no, it's too short of a notice. It's the holiday, Christmas time. And no, I'm not doing it. And I know probably before when I first started speaking and everything, I probably would have said, oh yeah, let me go ahead and get it. But I was like, no, like, and in the future, you need to give me more time than asking me in a week to do a 500-word article for your paper. No, I'm not doing that anymore. No.
I'll do it next month.
Right. But in a couple of days, no, because you had a bright idea. No.
Yeah. And when we first start out, we're just so, I can't say no. I want to do it. They want me. They need me.
Mm-hmm.
But they'll just go off to somebody else.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And you feel like that might just probably wasn't the opportunity for me. Another opportunity is going to come. And that's how I look at it now. Like, okay, I can't do this. Another opportunity is going to come. I have people all the time messaging me, even, hey, can you come in part of this training? Hey, can you do this? And the other thing is that if it's not putting money in my pocket, I'm really thinking about it as well. Like if you're a survivor, like I don't mind. But if you're just coming to ask me to do something or some kind of training and it's taken away from me providing for my family, no, I can't. I'm saying no to that as well.
I love that.
Yeah.
So can you speak on, because I have my opinion, but I definitely want to hear it. Can you speak on getting paid to train and share your story? How important is that?
It's very important. And what another, again, I'm gonna go back to when, like I've been a survivor for a long time, and when I was a youth program director, I never shared my story. But I was successful as youth program director where I was working. They went from 64 youth a year and I got it to 500 youth a year. And I never shared my story as a domestic violence survivor. So about a year ago when I started sharing it, I think people thought that, oh, Tammie was now coming out with this stuff. But I was sharing it a long time ago. And so I would go to people and say, hey, I want to share my story on your platform. And they would say, yes, but I would have to pay them to share my story. And I was like, oh, you're tripping. Like, you're not going to benefit over my testimony of my story. So no. So now it's like, if you want to hear my story, like, I don't mind sharing it sometime, but I'm not going to just share it to everyone because everyone is not privy to my story. And you're not going to benefit over it. And with my girls program, I just go into the schools and say, this is my fee. Like, this is when people say to me, are you getting paid for your girls program? Yes, ma'am. I am. Like, that's my time. That's my energy. That's my creativity. So when I come, my knowledge comes with the price tag.
I love it. And knowing the price tag, knowing your worth and the value of what you provide.
Yes.
That's important.
Yes. And that's to anybody out there, like, know your worth. I think a lot of women, they reach out to me and they're saying that they have clients, but they're not getting paid, right, for their clients. They just keep doing it. And once you get into that area that's saying, I'm going to keep doing stuff for free, you're going to stick into that box. You're going to stick into that area. So until you step out of it and saying, this is it. And it's hard. Like you're saying, you don't want to say no. You want to kind of build up your clientele, showing what you do. But, just take a leap of faith and be like, this is what I charge. And if you can't afford it, then let's talk about it. Or maybe I'm not the person for you.
That's right. And people should be willing to pay you for your time and your knowledge. That is valuable. When you start out, you do have to kind of do a little free because you want the advertisement. You want to be able to show people that you are valuable. This is what you bring to the table. You want to do some recordings. Right. That's important to start out. But after that first year, you and don't feel bad. You don't feel bad. And I always say, and I hope the males that's listening not offended, they will pay a male $30,000 and offer us $500. They have the budget. Yeah. If you got a budget, right? I am offended that you want me to do it for free.
Exactly.
I will talk about advocacy. I will tell my story to anybody that want to listen, right? But if you got a budget, you should value me enough to pay me. Right? If you don't have a budget, I'm okay with that, right? Because I want to do things in the community. That's why I started a nonprofit so that I could do things in the community, not just my community, but also the community. But you can also try to compensate people as well. If they have to travel far to get to you, you should at least offer gas.
Something. And water, right? Like, I can help you out. You can help me out. Something like that.
Some type of bartering to make me feel important. I had a school district here that wanted me to train their guidance counselors. like 50 guidance counselors, and they wanted to pay me $300. You got a budget as a school district. I am not. And I said, I am sorry, I cannot do it.
Right.
And then I had one college, they wanted me to create a whole sexual assault curriculum for them, Tammie. And when I gave them the proposal, the assistant said, this more than my whole salary for the year. So I assumed that I probably wasn't going to get it, but I was okay with that, because if I'd have did the work at a lower rate, then I'd have felt used. I wouldn't have been happy about the work that I do. And it's important to get your worth to be happy in this journey of success.
Yes.
That is success.
Right.
Enjoying.
Right. And I'm not going to say that I don't do things, for free. I have survivors come on my show. There's no charge for that. And survivors call me all the time. If there's a survivor that calls me or texts me and say, I need to talk to you, yes, I am, because I want to be there, because I might be the only person you speak to. But if it's like for a training that I'm doing in a school or something like that, or a organization, like that's my time. I'm putting stuff together, time for I'm taking out of my family. And just because I do it all the time doesn't mean that I don't put that much effort in it, because I want to make sure that everything that I do is top notch. So I'm still crossing my T's, dotting my I's. I want to make sure that I'm giving you what you expect from me. So then I want from you what I want to expect from you also. Like, let's work together.
That's right. Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of work. When you want to have a consulting company, a coaching business, any type of business that you're working in, it is a lot of work. Mm-hmm. And people should pay you based on the time, your knowledge that you spend. So don't feel bad about asking for the price. Now, sometimes you might have to negotiate. Mm-hmm. So I've negotiated, and they've said, well, this is our budget. Can you do it within our budget? Right. I can look at your budget, and you got a budget and you're going to pay me. So you're going to bring me, part of my negotiation is I could do it within your budget, but can you bring me back for another opportunity?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
That's way more valuable. Mm-hmm. Or can I record the session and share it on social media?
Have it, right.
Or can you promote me? So there are times that you could take a little bit less than what you're worth, because what they're going to offer on the back end is so much more valuable.
So much more, right. Yeah. Definitely.
I love doing that.
Yes. I negotiate. Definitely.
I negotiate. Yes. What are some challenges as an entrepreneur have you faced?
Being a solo entrepreneur, doing everything on my own. I just hired 2 people, so I'm excited, because just trying to do everything on my own, especially, when you're starting out. I've only been an entrepreneur for a little over a year now. So it's been like, I'm doing everything. I'm doing the marketing. I'm creating the curriculums. I'm doing everything. So I finally got to the point that I could hire 2 people that's helping me. And the other challenge is that we've been into COVID, right? So everything now is virtual, and I had to be really creative, because I'm so much of an in-person, in your face person, especially in the schools. Like, I'm always doing something. I'm really active with my students. And prior to COVID, I was in 5 schools, and COVID hit, and we know that all the schools shut down. And I was in a juvenile correction facility that shut down. So my income was like nothing, because, we went into COVID. So challenges like that, and being able to pivot and still be successful. So now I just transferred my programs to virtually, and they're really successful now, but it's still not to where it was prior to COVID, so just the challenges that way.
Yeah. So there's going to be times that it'll just hit you. It hit me the same way. My whole calendar was done for the year, and it just wiped out. Yeah. And I will tell you, it set me back for a moment. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, right. I could not believe it, because you're counting that money when you got a contract in place, and that's important. Mm-hmm. Always have contracts. You need a good, solid contract when you're doing work. Mm-hmm. The contracts are in place, but it doesn't count when there's like a world catastrophe, like a natural disaster.
You can't do anything about it. Right.
There was nothing that we could do. So be prepared to pivot, like you said, and come up with something different. Mm-hmm. And that was hard for me, because I don't like virtual. But I say, God,
you got this right here.
After COVID hit, this is when all of this started, because I prefer to talk to 30,000 people in an arena
Yes.
than to go on camera. That's the thing.
And especially with my group, I had to be so much more creative because in person, like I could just say, okay, we're going to do an icebreaker. Everybody let's get up and do musical chairs or do something. So, and virtually I had to think of like, what can I do to keep these girls engaged? Because the school district I have a contract with, they were looking like, okay, how's our partners going to keep these kids engaged virtually? And so luckily I was able to do that. But we're like this Thursday, we're baking cakes online. Like I drop off cake mix to all of my girls' houses and cupcakes, and we're going to be baking cakes virtually. So just to be really creative, and in business anyway, like because anything could happen. Like you said, we didn't think this would happen, but anything could happen. So you just got to be able to go ahead and roll with the punches.
How did you start up financially?
My husband.
I know people like, well, I ain't got nobody.
Right. My husband, luckily, like in 2019, I went into my office one day, my youth director, I was youth program director, and my executive director walked in my office and said, next Monday's going to be your last paycheck. Literally. And I had just came back from a vacation with my son. I took him on a cruise, a $2,000 cruise. And I came back that Monday and was like, this is your last day. My father was in a nursing facility. We had just bought our second home. We didn't have renters in our first home yet. So I was panicking, but my husband said, this has been in you all the time. And I've been telling you to leave, but you didn't want to. So God pushed you out the door. So don't worry about it. We're going to make it happen. And that's how it really was. And I know that's not ideal for everyone that's single women or whatever, but financially, like if you're working towards it, I would say just keep putting a little bit of money aside. Just keep putting a little bit of money aside. I know some people say, oh, they're looking for another job to help them with their entrepreneurship. Like, multitasking, you're not going to be able to do anything 100%. You're going to be slipping and sliding. So make sure it's really what you want, because it's not easy being an entrepreneur. It's not all the time.
Especially a full-time entrepreneur. So exactly. What people don't realize is that a lot of us have a business and we're still working full-time. Mm-hmm. So I didn't get rest. Like I did a lot of training and events on the weekend and work my full-time job, or I would take off my full-time job to be able to do my event. So that was a lot of things that I did. I still worked, and I had to have a financial goal. So I had set a goal of 3 months of bills, of an emergency fund before I could leave my government job, because I left my government job. So part of my strategy was having that money there just in case I needed it. Boy, I didn't know COVID was going to hit, so I needed it, right? But I had that put away before I walked away from my job. And sometimes you have to do both. You can't just jump out and say, this is success. It's not overnight. So, and I will tell you, I was doing my business on the job too. I get all my work done.
And then also to know that you're really not going to make money within that first year. Like, there's a lot of stuff that go into like office supplies and driving places and your marketing. So like this year is the year that it's COVID that is like I'm starting to see, a profit. But the first year it was like, okay, whatever money that I made, it was going right back out because I was building myself, my website, everything that, it takes money.
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell people, if you got $500 though, you can start a business. Mm-hmm. You do it in pieces. You get your business license. Some people start. Well, I call it a hustle if you don't have a business license. They'll start.
It's a hobby. It's a hobby.
And then that's how you start. You do it a little bit at a time. And that's how you get to that part of going to success. It's just not overnight. And so that's what I did. You got $500. You could do your own website.
Yeah.
You can get a free Wix website and a free Google website.
Yes.
So you have to be creative and find ways to cut dollars. And I tell everybody, I am so frugal. I wanted my light bill and my water bill under $100 every month. I was serious. So when you get serious about trying to be successful and start your own business, you have to make cuts.
Yeah,
you have to make sacrifices. You can't eat out. You have to let Starbucks go. If you go to Starbucks every day, you have to let that go. So being successful takes a lot of sacrifice.
A lot of sacrifice.
And you said my husband, but it was a whole lot of sacrifices that you made too. It
Yeah.
was not just your husband.
Yeah. But the financial part, but yeah,
He was
everything.
your backer, but you did the work.
Yeah.
So all the contracts that you got out there and you hustled.
Yeah, I
It didn't
reached
just
out to
come
them
to
and
you.
said this, and it's another thing. I said I was going to do a post about it actually this week. That one of the people that I'm contracted with, we have a moderator that comes on and she lets me in and lets the girls in, and so just like how we did, we spoke a couple of minutes before, we let everybody in, and she said, Tammie, I need to meet with you, and I was like, yeah, okay, what happened? And she said, your name came up in a meeting this week. Your name came up in a strategic planning meeting this week. And I told them that I want to leave my job in like 3 years. She's a counselor. She has a nonprofit, but she wanted to do the nonprofit full time. And she said, your name came up. So I tell people, like, be who you are, but be consistent. No one should be saying something nasty about you, because if I was a different type of person, my name would not come up in a strategic planning meeting. And the person that gave her my name, I haven't spoken to him in about 5 years. So it's not even somebody that's, seen recently. And the other thing is that it wasn't a one-on-one conversation. It was a strategic planning meeting. So my name came up and she heard it, so that means other people heard it also. So always be the same way. Like, bring your customer service. Like, customer service is big to me. Bring your A game in everything that you do.
Customer service. That's my pet peeves. I've met a lot of people with these Facebook businesses, and their customer service is horrible.
Yes.
You gotta have good customer service, and people watch you. I will be in the store and they'll be like, yeah, I saw you on Facebook. I said, well, you didn't like my post or say anything. I saw you. People watch you and watch what you do and how you carry yourself, and that leads to success.
Yes.
They see what you're doing. They
Definitely.
see. Yeah, and you can't have just one thing. So that's what I'm learning too. And for you have a radio show, you got your girls groups, so you do your nonprofit work, you also do your consulting, and so you have different things where you're always making money. So as
multiple sources of income. You have that multiple. But even with that, say the same all the time. Like, even if I'm tired, like, I'm still coming through with my A game. I'm smiling. I'm doing whatever I have to do just to make sure that no one could say, she was nasty that time. I'm not at that level, like Gabrielle Union or whoever, like, not saying that they're nasty, but they had the opportunity to go ahead and be like, I don't want to talk to you, anymore. And they still have millions of fans. I don't have that. So I'm always going to bring my A game and make sure I have to provide the best customer service to anyone.
I love it. So from just your business perspective, what is your greatest takeaway?
My greatest takeaway is to have patience with myself, and make sure I practice self-care. Because when I first started, I was up sometime until 3 o'clock in the morning doing my website over again, trying to get things together and just being exhausted. So self-care. And again, like, practice what I preach. Success does not happen overnight, and just realize that whatever's for me is for me.
Got it. I love it. One of my biggest takeaways is that it takes time and it's a lot of work, but it's worth it.
Yes.
You're an entrepreneur full time for yourself, and you could use your life experiences to change the life of others, and get paid.
Yeah.
And get paid. You can. It is possible, and people should pay you. That's what I've learned. My story has value. That's one of the biggest things that I've learned, because I used to underestimate myself. So before we leave, Tammie, is there anything that you want to share? Maybe tell us about your businesses or how to contact you, or last words.
Yes, I would say Beyond Surviving with Tammie. I am in the Virginia area, but my show could be heard anywhere, because you could listen to it on any Alexa supported device. It is streamed live on Facebook every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's called Beyond Surviving with Tammie, where we recognize, empower, and support survivors. And even though I'm a domestic violence survivor, it is open to any survivor that has suffered through any kind of life challenge, that went from surviving to healing to thriving. So I have that. Flaws and Imperfections. You were talking about the masks we wear, and that's exactly why I started Flaws and Imperfection, because I said women wear masks. And I want you to unveil that mask and be okay with your imperfections. So I have that, and I provide empowerment and relationship coaching through that. And I also, which I don't talk about too much, is that I'm contracted with the organization called Mentor Virginia. If anyone is in Virginia, that I provide consultant work to anyone that's trying to start a nonprofit organization. And I do that one-on-one, and I have like 2 or 3 clients right now. I try not to do that too much, because it's a lot of work. And my last thing is that if you are a survivor and you are in Virginia, anywhere in the state of Virginia, I am contracted with the Department of Social Services, and I am Survivor's Voice. And within the next couple of weeks, I will be soliciting survivors, and I want to hear your voice. And we are going to be doing surveys and focus groups just to find out, like, where are the gaps in agencies, like if they went to an agency, and or what we could do a little bit better. And that's for the whole state of Virginia. And you can reach me at www.flawless-imperfections.com, or on my Instagram page at Tammie M. Mobley.
I love it. I love it. I can't wait to be on your radio show. I am coming to Virginia.
Yes, come on.
On your radio show. So I love the work that you're doing, and I'm so honored that turn all of that trauma into success, and you're doing it. You are a game changer, and you are definitely an inspiration to others. And I hope that many more blessings are bestowed upon you, and that your territory is expanded, and that more contracts come your way.
Me too. I'm hoping the same thing for you. And then we're going to be talking on Clubhouse. So we're going to get it together, girl. We're going to like, I keep telling everybody, this is our year. We got a woman vice president. Like, this is the year of the woman. We making it.
This is the year. And so I am looking forward to just seeing so many more opportunities, and seeing people that's in our communities strive and grow as well. Because healing is so important, and you can heal through your business.
Yes.
Done. So thank you so very much.
No, thank you for having me.
So we had the most beautiful Tammie. She is such a blessing. I hope you all really learned something from her, just from her journey to where she is now, and be encouraged that you can be successful in your own business. You don't have to continue working for somebody. You don't have to stay in that bad relationship. Entrepreneurship is a way to get out of a domestic violence situation, out of sex trafficking. We could do it. So reach out if you have any questions. We would love to just chat with you and just encourage you. As well, next month is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. So, of course, Hush No More is on the grind. We have so much going on. On April the 2nd, we're going to have investigator Chandra Cleveland. We're going to talk about sex trafficking and child sexual abuse. Terry and Green will be with us to talk about her experience as a child sexual abuse survivor on 6th April. Elizabeth from Empowering Survivors is going to be here 13th April, talking about how can we encourage survivors to go to the next level. Richard and Kathy Butler from Comfort in the Storm will be here on 20 April, talking about child sexual abuse. Dr. Lori Pitts will be here talking about healing inside out. That is so important, how we can heal. April 27th. Then we have events going on. April 16th, we have spoken word. If you are a poet, if you want to sing, if you just want to view the event, join us on April 16th. April 17th in Columbia, South Carolina, we are doing self-defense training called Survivor to Warrior. I believe in fighting back. If I can give you some skills to take care of yourself, that is what we want to do. April 18th, we are going to have the Hush No More documentary screening. Grab you some popcorn, grab your family and friends, log on, watch the documentary. It's so informative. And on April 24th, we are going to have a child sexual abuse forum, and it is going to focus on cyber awareness, how to protect your children from that online predator, how to find out what they're doing on social media, and know what your kids are up to as it comes to texting and just all of those devices that they have. So I am excited about April. We're going to have interviews, pop-ups. You're going to see us going live. So please follow us and contact us if you need us for anything. Our website is www.hushnomore.org. You can reach us at 1-888-285-2161. You can find us on all social media platforms. Message us, call us, just reach out. We're here to listen, provide any resources that we possibly can. We are so thankful that you are part of this community, and we will try to do everything that we can to be a blessing to you and just be available when you need us. Remember, you have a right to tell it. It is your story. You have a voice and a choice. Don't let anyone take that away from you. and you could do what you want to do with your life. And you don't have to hush anymore. So thank you all for joining us tonight. Peace and blessings to you all. And once again, Tammie, thank you for joining us. You are truly an inspiration.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Have a good night. Thank you.
You're welcome.